Yes, what's happening, people? And welcome to the GavGoesIn podcast. So today, guys, I'm going to be doing my player comparison. So I do enjoy doing these. Because I think it's good to talk about players from the past, or even current players, and see how they match up against their peers, really. And for me, this one, was one that I enjoyed. Just researching for myself. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go through the stats of both players, obviously the appearances, and then I'm gonna say who I think is the best. So we're talking about two of the greatest left backs, I would say, ever. I think I'll go as far as that, saying ever. Obviously there will be a few other players that people might mention. But for me, I think these two probably must go down as the two greatest left backs of all time. And that's none other than Brazil's Marcelo and England's Ashley Cole. I think both players in their prime, I didn't see any left backs better than them. Obviously Ashley Cole being slightly older by about, I think it might be almost 10 years older than Marcelo. But when Ashley Cole was at his prime at Chelsea, I would say especially, Arsenal as well, you would say, I think there wasn't a better left back in the world. And then, as we know, Marcelo at Real Madrid, definitely there wasn't a better left back. I think there probably might have been another player that could have rivaled him. But for me, he was the best. So yeah, man, Marcelo and Ashley Cole. So we're going to get into it. So I'm going to go through Marcelo's accomplishments first and then go through Ashley Cole's. And then going to discuss both players and see who I believe is the best for me. So for me, just going through Marcelo. So I've made a few notes on him. And to be fair, there was quite a few surprising ones, which I didn't actually realise. And one is the Champions League appearances. I thought he played a lot more in the Champions League, but he actually only played 57 times for Real Madrid. So I'm only going off Real Madrid because this is when he was at his peak at Real Madrid. So 57 appearances in the Champions League for Real Madrid with a total of 6 goals and 0 assists, which, again, the kind of quality left back that he was, I was actually surprised that he only had no assists. I didn't see that one coming. But in terms of his goals, 6 goals for a left back, yeah, that's pretty fair. But assists, I'm shocked. I thought he would have at least had 5 assists, so that shocked me. Obviously, 58 caps for Brazil. Again, I thought he played a lot more for Brazil, but Brazil, obviously, I think at the time, they might have had Alexandro as well, so I think he might have played a couple times. So I think he might have shared the berth with Marcelo. But yeah, 58 times for Brazil is decent, but I thought he had a lot more, as I said. La Liga appearances, 188 times he played for Real Madrid with a return of 11 goals and 34 assists, which is decent, to be fair. So in terms of his career, at Real Madrid, so he actually made his debut for Fluminense at 17. And then obviously 2007, he joined Real Madrid and made his debut at 18. As I said, I can't remember how much he was bought for. If I'm right, I think he might have been bought for no more than 30 mil, And I remember watching him make his debut for Real Madrid, and you can see he had something special. You can see he was a bit like, as he would be at 18, a bit raw. But you can tell that as he grew into his man body, you would say, he was going to get better and better. And look at the longevity he had. I think he's played for Real Madrid for 15 years, and as I said, was the best left back in the world at his time. I think how I could look at Marcelo is that the ability that he had, as a left back, was better than some wingers. That's how talented he was, And when he first went to Real Madrid, I didn't really see that, because anyone remembers when he went to Real Madrid, he had the short hair, and I just saw someone that was athletic, and was just young. But the ability that he had, I didn't really see too much until he obviously got more experience, you know. But on the ball, yeah, he was absolutely ridiculous on the ball. As I said, better than most wingers on the ball, you know. But so his career in terms of trophies, 25 trophies he's won for Real Madrid. 15 years at the club, you know. So he's been named in the World Cup Dream Team for Brazil as well, twice. And he's been named in the FIFA Pro World 11 6 times, yeah, as a left back. So again, that's basically showing that he's regarded as the best left back in the world by being named in that team 6 times, you know. So 5 Champions Leagues, 2 Copa del Reys, 5 Spanish Super Cups, 6 La Ligas, 3 European Super Cups, and 4 World Club Cups for Marcelo in a career for 15 years, as I said, and 25 trophies. So again, man, a guy that's had a great career in terms of what he's won, you know, the top clubs that he played at in Real Madrid, you know. And again, yeah, what a player, man. You know, for Brazil, I think he might have only won 1 or 2 Copa Americas, you know. Didn't win the World Cup, but I think he won 1 or 2 Copa Americas, yeah. But as I said, for me, Marcelo for me is a ridiculous left back, and as I said, we'll get into it after. But for sure, yeah, one of the best left backs the game has produced easily, you know. And I'll go as far as saying probably the most talented left back in terms of quality on the ball that the game's produced, because I don't think there's been a better left back in terms of ability wise, you know. Moving on to Ashley Cole, you know. Again, I don't think Ashley Cole gets the respect he probably deserves in comparison to many other players, you know. But I think his career for Arsenal and Chelsea, you know, he's had a great career in terms of what he's won and the quality that he's produced throughout the year, the consistency. You know, 107 caps for England, the most capped fullback for England of all time, you know. 385 appearances, which spanned across both Chelsea and Arsenal, with a return of 15 goals and 31 assists. So 46 in total, which is decent for a left back. Before I go on to his honours that he's won, what done it for me with Ashley Cole is the fact that his battles with Ronaldo, you know, and this was a young Ronaldo coming through. And obviously, we all know what the career that Ronaldo's had, Cristiano Ronaldo. Ashley Cole's probably been the one fullback that you could possibly say has dealt the best with Ronaldo, you know, when Ronaldo was in his prime or coming into his prime. You know, the battles between those two, you know, it was one of the best battles that you would see in terms of a 1v1, because Ashley Cole had the pace to match Ronaldo, you know, but defensively, he was very astute as well, you know, very good defensively, and was a threat going forward. You know, and as I said, those battles with Ronaldo, you know, is arguably one of the best battles the Premiership has ever seen in terms of 2 players just going at it 1v1. You know, and Ashley Cole more than once held his own. You know, so yeah, that's what stood out for me with Ashley Cole. But he's won 3 Premier Leagues, 2 with Arsenal, 1 with Chelsea. Obviously, 1 Champions League with Chelsea, 7 FA Cups, 3 with Arsenal, 4 with Chelsea, 1 League Cup with Chelsea, for a total of 12 honours, you know. So again, nowhere near the likes of Marcelo, but 12 honours, you know, with Arsenal and Chelsea is very good. And as I said, what a left back he was. By far the best left back in the Premier League when he was, well, I say by far. I think the 2 best left backs at the time was him and Patrice Evra, you know. But I think Ashley Cole probably just edged it, you know, because I think although Patrice Evra, when he first come in, as we know, made his debut against Man City, you know, no one would have saw what the career that Evra had at Man United. But when Evra came into his own, you know, it was him or Ashley Cole that were vying for the best left back in Europe at the time and in the league. And I think Ashley Cole probably was just edging it in terms of his defensive wise, I would say. I think Evra going forward was probably better than him, but Ashley Cole was probably defensively better and was just edging it, you know. Or, you know, people could say Everett might have been better, but I think both defenders, both left backs definitely will go down as the best left backs the game produced. But for me, Ashley Cole just edges it, because I think he showed probably a bit more consistency over a longer period for me, And as I said, starting off at Arsenal, but for me, is he came into his own at Chelsea. At Chelsea under Mourinho with a defence of John Terry, Ricardo Carvalho, and I think it was it Paulo Ferreira at right back, and Petr Cech in goal. Formidable. Makaleli in the DM, Michael Essien, Lampard, Drogba. That team, that team there was frightening. With Robin and Joe Cole. Gudjonsson there as well. As I said, that team there, was frightening. And I think they actually went through a whole season, Premier League season, I believe, conceding just 10 goals. And Ashley Cole was a massive part of that, And as I said, he definitely deserves his ranking alongside Marcelo for me. Who am I going to choose as the best left back? Again, I think you probably know where I'm going with this, because I do believe, people might say Paolo Maldini, but Maldini was more of a centre back for me. But for me, and again, if there's anyone that thinks that there's other players that should be recognised, then please let me know. But for me, Marcelo for me is the best left back of all time. I think when Barca and Real Madrid were at their strongest, when they had those two teams of the likes of Messi, Suarez, Neymar, Iniesta, Rakitic, Busquets, PK, Alba, was it Mascherano then, I think, and Dani Alves, and it was in goal. Was it Ter Stegen? Or I think it might have been Victor Valdez in goal. And then obviously Real Madrid had the, Benzema, Bale, Ronaldo, Casemiro, Modric, Cruz, Marcelo, Carvajal, Ramos, Varane, and I think it might have been Keylor Navas in goal. when those two teams were going head to head, I think you had Alba and Marcelo at them times that were the two best left backs in the game. But for me, Marcelo, even though I preferred Barcelona, because Messi, Neymar, Iniesta, Busquets, some top players there, Dani Alves, I did say that Marcelo was the best left back in the world, and as I said, I'm yet to see a better left back in the game than Marcelo. So Marcelo for me is not only the best left back between him and Ashley Cole, but I would say he's the best left back of all time, as I said, and I haven't seen a better left back than him. So for me, he clearly wins it for me. And as I said, if there's anyone that disagrees, then guys, make sure you put your comments in. If there's any other left backs that you feel should be in the conversation, as I said, I mentioned Maldini. Maldini wasn't really in my time, but Maldini for me, from what I saw, was more of a centre back. Philip Lahm, but Lahm for me was right-footed, playing on the left. So I like actual left footers playing at left back. So if there's any other players you guys can think of that can rival these two, obviously I mentioned Patrice Evra already, then please do let me know, guys, in the comments. And as I said, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn. And again, I'll catch you guys in a bit. But yeah, guys, give me your comments. Let me know. Take it easy.